The first aliyah. The Jewish people are instructed regarding the ritual impurity contracted by a woman who gives birth. When we think about it, giving birth is a positive occurrence. It's a mitzvah to have children. Obviously, you can't do that without giving birth. So it's a little strange that the woman would be impure because she has given birth. If we were to erroneously define impurity as some kind of dirtiness or uncleanliness, as it's sometimes rendered, then for sure we have a very strange kind of a scenario where a woman who is doing a mitzvah or is being a part of a mitzvah all of a sudden somehow is dirty. That doesn't seem right. And so when we remember, for example, what we discussed in last week's Torah portion and in other contexts about impurity, impurity is really defined as the reality of things falling short of potential. And so when a woman who was imbued with carrying a child that has at least the beginnings of that child's soul in the fetus, which is of course in the woman's body, she is in essence, as they say in science, super saturated with spirituality. She's carrying an extra soul. And now she gives birth. She gives birth, and by virtue of giving birth, she no longer contains that second soul inside of her body. The reality of things fell short of potential. The reality is that she could have been the potential is that she could have been a little bit more time with that second soul in her. Now that's not the case, and so she, as it were, lost that soul. That loss is what engenders her impurity. The time frame of this impurity differs depending whether the child is a boy or a girl. Specifically, it is double for a girl. The impurity when a woman gives birth to a boy is 7 days and 33 days. Two different stages of that impurity, two different adjudications of that impurity, but 7 days for the first stage and 33 days for the second. And then 14 days and 66 days, double for the girl. And again, if we have the wrong conception of impurity, and we have the wrong kind of mindset for how Judaism treats women, we would say, oh, look, proof. A girl is twice as bad, as it were, or twice as dirty to give birth to as a boy. But the reality is that that's not the proper perspective on impurity in particular, and on Judaism in general. And so based on the proper perspective, proper definition of impurity, we see that the birth of the child is as a loss of that extra spirituality that the pregnant woman had. The loss of a boy's soul is half as devastating, half as impurifying as the loss of a girl's soul, because a woman, a girl, a feminine soul is in fact more spiritual, higher in spiritual standing than a boy's. And for that reason, the woman who has just given birth to a girl is twice as impure, or impure for twice as long.